Blue skies and sunshine above. Kate Simpson captaining Carlton this afternoon. Leo Barry captaining the Sydney Swans, winning the toss. And the Swans will kick left of screen in the opening term as we welcome to the microphone 300-game, three-time premiership superstar Alistair Lynch.
Thanks very much, Dwayno. Looking forward to this game. It should be a classic encounter. Good conditions at the SCG. You've got a top team in the Sydney Swans starting to strike some form. And the other at the bottom of the ladder, but desperate to prove a point to the AFL community.
And good conditions for boundary riders as well. Welcome back, Lee.
Yes, how you going, boys? Beautiful day up here. And as you said, it is Red Kite Day, supporting kids through cancer. Looking forward to the game. Brendan Favola starting at full forward, so look out, Carlton fans.
Thanks for that, Lee. Brendan Favola back in action this afternoon. 1 week off, internal suspension for poor body language. He said in an article during the week that it was for glaring at Dennis Pagan after he dragged him against Fremantle. Took his boots off 26 minutes into the final term, but he's back in the team this week. Conditions couldn't get any better than this. Not far away from a start. The umpires this afternoon, Hayden Kennedy, Chris Camelons and Simon Meredith.
Quite interesting, Lynchy, that Brendan Favola is starting on the half-forward flank with Leo Barry's direct opponent.
Yeah, good idea to get Leo Barry away from the goal square. All the Carlton forwards have pushed up the ground, leaving space over the back to run onto.
Ball and weight there as we see on the screen. Great matchup.
It'll be Satanda O'Halpin to lead the ruck for the Blues against Spider Everett, the old and the new. And the ball up, Carazzo. Quick kick away from the middle is okay from Murphy.
Hands
and there's
in the
a
back.
free kick, hands in the back.
Against Ted Richards.
Fisher's lost a boot already.
It was definitely there, as long as the umpires are consistent with it, Lynchy, today. They've set the scene nice and early.
That was a good start. Carlton, over the course of the year, have had no problems getting the ball into their forward 50. And certainly their efficiency has been up for most part, as you see the free kick there. But last week they were very inaccurate once going in, so need an improved effort there.
Kicked 2 goals, 1 last week, Brad Fisher. That's a wobbler that'll fall short.
That's a good grab.
And it's a perfect grab by Houlihan in the square.
Well, it was a good grab, but I'm not sure whether Peter Everett lost the ball in the sun or in traffic, because he was down there just about ready to take the mark, but Ryan Houlihan swooped in front of him.
Only kicked the 4 goals this year. He's played every game, and it gives the Blues the perfect start away from home.
Perfect start for the Carlton Footy Club. They need the confidence to get off to a good start, and certainly conversion from the top of the square is going to be very easy. But that kick, as you touched on, Dwayno, is a bit of a floater off the boot, and Peter Everett probably lost it a little bit in the sun, but it floated all over the place and was just well read in the end.
Well, the thing with Everett there, had to body line the body, Lynchy. He tried to reach for the ball with a spoil. He should have at least put some body pressure on Houlihan there.
And that probably is a fair indication. He didn't see the flight of the ball real well, didn't know where to put the body. Poor error.
Last time these two teams met here, round 22 last year, Sydney winning by 92 points. The Blues hoping for a better performance than that this afternoon. Everett in the ruck. Carazzo, half held by Kirk, now fully held by him. He's got the ball and will get another ball up.
And he was very good, Carazzo, last week. He had the 33 touches, 7 inside 50s, so he started off where he left off last week.
And Carazzo does some ruck work, but straight down to Adam Goods. Finally a possession for the Swans. Bouncing ball inside 50. O'Keefe lays the tackle, holds it in. It comes out Scotland, tucked up against the boundary. In fact, he was outside the boundary line. No, free kick. And Harlan allowed to play on to Waite. Spears it in the bow direction. Caught by Lachlan, slung, but released. Back again to Waite. Nice movement from the Blues, from the fence.
Had nowhere to go to. Back to Bolton, who's the only player back in the 50.
And he gets back and collects it eventually. Craig Bolton handballs to Matthews. Puts him under pressure. Dragged down by Murphy. No free kick given.
Could be now.
And we will get a ball up in the goal square.
Well, Everett's in the ruck on O'Halpin, but after the centre bounce, O'Halpin's pushing forward, and then Kudafidi starting the half-forward lines going on to Everett.
Swans will try and push this through for a behind if they can. Bannister gets the snap away, and he's got it. It's 2-0.
What a start, Lynchy.
What a start. We've seen a few upsets over recent weeks. I don't think too many people would have backed Carlton, but the way they've started this first few minutes, this is an outstanding effort. They've got off to a good start, good snap on goal with a lot of numbers around the ball, and that is a bad mistake once again, close to the goal line, not to get the ball through for a rush behind.
Well, Dennis Pagan talked about the stoppage work and would have done a lot of homework on the Sydney Swans stoppage work. That's a great result to kick a goal from the stoppage.
Jordan Bannister back into the Blues lineup this afternoon. Didn't play in the loss to Melbourne last week. Has now kicked 4 straight for the season. 2 straight for Carlton. Everett wins it down to Goods. Takes on Koutafidis. Dropped the ball. Holding the ball. Play on advantage. Bannister loads up. Long bomb towards the goal square. Favola not down there. And Murphy allows it out with Ben Matthews.
It's good coaching having Favola up the ground. Sydney would have been prepared for Favola to kick goals, but Dennis, the master coach, Favola out of the forward 50, open up the options for someone else.
O'Halpin. Favola comes in. Everett knocks it down in the Goods direction, tucked up against the boundary. Favola drags Goods out with the ball.
Just to reinforce your point there, Danny, I think also gets Leo Barry away from the goal square, so that's good. That's a win for Carlton.
Jude Bolton, big tackle
That's dropping
on
the ball.
Fosdyke. And the umpire said that the ball was dislodged in the tackle. He got away with murder there. Koutafidis. Back into the corridor, tough one. Stolen by Ablett. Here go the Swans. Hall, O'Loughlin. No one to go too long. Tries to manufacture a short. Almost play on. Hartlett ran himself into trouble. Thornton gets it to the outer side. Carazzo.
Well, this is a fantastic start. They're full of passion and running. We know they've got the ability to kick scores. It's whether they can sustain it for the course of the game is going to be the big issue for Carlton.
Fisher pokes it to half forward for Favola. Not the third grab. Bentic sold the dummy. Back to Favola. Inside 50. Can he get the perfect start? No.
And that would have been a perfect start. He's led hard at the ball, didn't quite take it, but he's laid a tackle already in the first quarter and imposing his presence on the game.
That's the key there, Lynchy, the tackle. That's the thing Dennis Pagan will be looking at, the team things that create the goals. That's a great sign from Brendan Favola.
Well, he'd be saying to him, we don't want Leo Barry's run out of defence, and that's very difficult. It's easier said than done to stop that run, but if he can start out wide, maybe run back with the fly of the ball, a lot of pressure and tackle, I think that'd be a win for Favola, and Pagan would be very happy with his role.
Good spoil from Walker, thumps it out. And get a ball in on the wing. Magnificent conditions for football here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Nothing but blue sky above, bright sunshine. Everett thumped it down, got it back. Kennelly started on the bench, surprisingly enough.
Straight on, gets a kick.
Fosdyke sends it to half forward. Everett flies, can't mark. Koutafidis, Wiggins. The captain, Simpson. Bauer. And now they run it out of defence.
Oh, they've got numbers forward as well.
They have. Lurking Bannister on his own. Somehow got it from Wiggins. And somehow with some space, a couple of bounces. Looks up, he's got Fev and he hits him.
That was a good option because if he had went long, Goods was dropping back in the hole. So it's the only option he had. It was a good kick to Favola.
Their ball use has been very good. They were under an enormous amount of pressure coming out of their back half with hands, but they managed to hit the target on each occasion, and that was good, very good running from Bannister to find space, and then a very good lead to hit Favola.
Reigning Coleman medalist, 39 goals, 26 so far this season. Tough kick from the pocket. If anyone can, Fev can. He can't. This time at least are behind.
Well, it's a great start for Brendan and Carlton. 25 possessions to 11. But more importantly, Lynchy, 10 contested possessions to 3. Sydney really haven't started at all at the moment.
Malcheski short to Fosdyke. Schneider. Man-spear on the wing. Jolly.
This is the time as a coach and Paul Rood to be thinking, gee, I hope the boys are switched on. I know it's only early. They'll work their way into it, but they just need to get the ball inside their forward 50 and create a contest.
Everett's got 2 to beat here. Tough one for him. And a good thump across the boundary line. We'll get a ball in
And that's something I'm sure he was trying to reinforce during the week. Trying to make sure after a very emotional win last week, they were fantastic in tough conditions, the Sydney Swans, reinforcing that this team, Carlton, don't underestimate them. They've got some talented kids.
Jolly took it out of the air but got caught, and it's quite often holding the ball. It is this time as well.
The tackling's been superb the start of the game, the Blues.
It's been a strange start from the Sydney Swan players. Haven't had a lot of it, and they might not get it here either.
We're second to the ball, Dwayne, at the moment.
Halpin to Fisher, Matthews, Kennelly. That's a throw.
Things are just going Carlton's way, and that's because their run, their passion,
their pressure.
They're just feeling good about themselves. Favola one out.
Bannister to Houlihan to Favola. Manhandled by Barry. Favola to himself. Keeps it alive around the boundary. Dempster can take it out. Elects not to. Matthews. Ablett. Three men in the middle. Malcheski. O'Loughlin. Malcheski. O'Keefe. Under immense pressure. Perhaps holding the ball. It was a throw.
Yeah, that's a good thing. It's about how much pressure you put on when you don't have the ball. We all can run and carry the ball nicely when you're running forward, but you must chase and tackle hard on the way back.
Murphy to Houlihan. He looked to be manhandled as well. No free. Craig Bolton to Kirk. Uncharacteristic fumble from Kirk. O'Loughlin. Nice palm down to Matthews. Just hacks it out of the danger area, and that's a brilliant one-hander to Scotland.
It was just a panic kick, just perceived pressure.
Kick not so good. Ablett. Half back. Swans under siege. Malcheski a fumble. Kicks it off the deck. Inside 50. Davis lurking. Bowers with him. Tucked up against the boundary. Centering kick. Waite was in front of Hall.
Yeah,
and he shrugs Everett.
That was fantastic from Jared Waite. Backed himself in, played in front, but then had the awareness just to work the ball.
And Simpson's kick smothered by Michael O'Loughlin. Ball in on the wing.
That's the first defensive pursuit we've seen, Lynchy, since the start of the game from the Sydney Swans. It's taken 8 minutes for a tackle or a smother. Great play there from Waite. Good athleticism.
Playing the defence again, Jared Waite kicked 5 goals against Fremantle 2 weeks ago. He's been mixing it up, forward and back. It's good when he can play either end. And Scotland sends it long towards Favola. Barry with him. Half holds Favola, and he half played for the free. Umpire said play on. Dempster. Fosdyke. Schneider. Gone.
Great
Dumped by
tackling.
Gibbs.
Fev on the way back because he didn't chase.
Simpson to Walker. Hamble made it tough for him. Left foot kick without looking. Fisher direction. Spoiled by Richards in the Kennelly direction. Houlihan, Kennelly. Well hassled. Houlihan toes it to his own advantage. Back to Fisher. Slung. In possession. Ball up.
Tackle count 3-8 Carlton's way. That's a great start. The midfielder on song. You see that there with hand on the head. Is that a free kick, Lynchy?
Only hands in the back that's a free now. Hand on the forehead's fine. Carazzo. And he spears it wide. Only a behind.
Like it's not your forehead, Brian. Want a big hand.
Oh,
Barry.
there's a backhander.
Gee. It's been tough in the box as well. It's been tough for the Swans early stages. Schneider. Malcheski about to get caught. Schmidt. Schneider. Caught. Dispossessed. Thornton. Caught. Centre of the ground, and the umpire will ball it up. It's been a magnificent start for the Blues. 15-0. And we've played 13 minutes opening quarter here at the SCG.
Quite interesting. Carlton are trying to spread at these stoppages, Lynchy. Trying to open it up.
Jolly got it down, but straight to Carazzo. Kick. O'Loughlin. Lending assistance in defence at the moment to Goods. Leo Barry, as he loves to do, takes off. Kirk, another fumble from Kirk. Gets it to Matthews. Back to Barry. Away from Walker. O'Loughlin. Past Kennedy. Kirk.
Was wide.
Cleaner hands that time. O'Loughlin. Craig Bolton sends it long. Goal square. Davis is down there. Bauer with the punch. Dumps it through For a behind. Well played by Paul Bauer.
Excellent play there from the youngster, Lynchy.
It was good pressure, and Barry Hall, just a little message to the carriers. Make sure you deliver it to me. Get a shorter pass was probably the option. But just notice the pressure from Brendan Favola. It was his third chase. He ran really hard, laid a tackle on the third attempt. But that's the sort of pressure. They will put pressure on the Swans. That's causing the fumbles at the moment.
Kate Simpson coming off 29 possessions last week. Entrusted with the kick in, and Bentic hands it off. Spearing pass from Murphy to Favola, and he might be within range. 50 from goal.
He's well and truly within range, and he's probably the best shot on goal from a set shot in the competition. Beautiful kick. Easily got the distance. Should just go back and nail this one and make it really tough early for the Swans.
And Lynchy's playing more conventional now. Started the game up the ground, now playing conventional full forward.
Coming off an 84-goal season last year. 39 goals, 28 so far this year. Gives it some sky. It comes back and off. Favola's on the scorecard.
Started well.
It's a confidence lifter for him and the team. You know that you're probably your gun player, really. I mean, he's switched on. He's trying to do the team things, and the byproduct of doing the team and the defensive things is going to be related to the goal scoring ability. And that was a beautiful kick. He presented well on the lead. Now, you know, Sputta's a former full-back. When you get turned around and running back the other way, it's very difficult as well. Fev's got the ability to go forward hard at the ball, but also turn Barry around.
First goal to Brendan Favola is almost proof that in modern society infamy is as lucrative as greatness.
Well,
he's used whether he's good or he's bad, Brendan Favola.
He's got Leo Barry in two minds, as you said, Lynchy. Do I play in front or behind? Because I'm up the ground and I'm deep.
From the ball up, Kirk extracts it with a wobbly kick in the Jude Bolton direction. O'Keefe, Bauer. He's an All-Australian key defender. There's an under-18, Paul Bauer, so he knows what it's all about under pressure in defence. Doing well so far today. Kick wide, marked by Hartlett. And he's hurt his hamstring. And that's bad news because he tore his hamstring off the bone about a year ago. That's why he's been so long coming back. That's horrendous news for Adam Hartlett. It's his third season, Adam Hartlett, and that hamstring's been the worry the whole time. And he looks to be coming off.
He's coming off.
It's season over, it looks. But it's the same hamstring. From the midfield, now Chesky. He looks up, takes them on, got Barry Hall short, straight through his legs. Matthews, forward pocket for the Swans, centering kick, but no one's home. Wait. Simpson.
Now, you create your own luck, but just the ball's not bouncing for the Sydney Swans at the moment, and it's certainly going Carlton's way.
Long kick, high kick, getting crunched was Young. Dempster. Good start to this game. Schmidt, Bevan, Matthews. You can tell from the first 15 minutes that it might be a big afternoon. We're hoping we wouldn't get a lopsided contest like last year. Certainly doesn't look like we will now. Kennedy from 60, spears it, hoping for Favola. Fisher cuts it off, hands off to Houlihan from the stand, start to the goal square. O'Halpin's down there, gathers, stats up,
kicked it.
A piece of brilliance.
What a beauty.
Oh, great snap, and he is just the energy of Carlton, raw talent, and a good snap. He protected the drop zone, got the ball to ground, and then turned Craig Bolton around. That is a fantastic snap on goal, and that is fantastic. As we have a look at the injury there, Hartlett just knew that his left hamstring had gone high. But have a look at this snap.
What about the ball drop?
It hasn't really spun real well.
Got off the inside of his instep, Lynchy, but it's 6 points. But I tell you what, Dennis Pagan, 24 contested possessions to 14. He'd be wrapped with that.
He'd be happy to be back home. Satander O'Halpin, he was born here in Sydney. Mother's Fijian, of course, raised in Ireland. Spent all of his time in Ireland before being recruited back to Australia. And a good start to the game for him. From the ball up, free kick's been found. Everybody stopped. And Goods got the play on advantage call. Kicks toward Barry Hall. White in front. And that could be delivered. Oh, it's out on the full regardless. Free kick Sydney.
10 rows back. He's a good athlete, Wade. He's going to really trouble Hall for pace over that 10-metre lead.
Goods short to Schneider. 27 players won. Spearing pass to Davis. Couldn't collect it. Simpson shrugs the tackle. Handball not so good. Adam Goods. Malcheski. Inside 50 and a high to O'Keefe. He drops the mark. Barry Hall lurking. Gets around and snaps a much-needed one. They're awake.
A much-needed goal. Great goal from Barry Hall. Jared Wade, he had a crack at the contest, Lynchy, but the key there was Wade went to ground after the contest. Just see him slip there. Once you're on the ground, it just opened it up for Big Bad Barry, and Sydney desperately needed that goal because the clearances, it is Carlton 12-9. The contested possessions 25-18. Sydney have just started to play.
And Barry Hall is having his rotation on the bench, which will be happening for the rest of the year.
Well, can you believe this? Barry Hall kicks a goal and then comes off.
Modern football, Dwayne.
Can that justify it, though? They've needed one for the whole quarter. We've played 20 minutes now, opening term. Finally get one, and the man who got him into the game is off. Malcheski.
I'm not saying I agree with it. It's just modern football.
Fosdyke sends it wide. O'Keefe doesn't get there first. It bounced poorly for him. Wait. Handball didn't look good off the hand. Young caught high.
I just reckon sometimes football's so much about momentum. If someone gets a goal, I mean, often if you can get the runner back out there to change the decision, it would be a good one.
I'll tell you who's happy about it. Jared Waite.
Oh, wouldn't he? What?
I know, I'd be happy with Lynchy when you kick one, you go straight off. Beautiful.
Plugger would have loved that, wouldn't he?
I don't think he would have ran off.
Bauer sends it inside 50. Fisher lost it in the sun, so couldn't get a fly at it. Bannister to Houlihan. Bauer. Inside 50 and high. Fisher under it again. Gets a side of this time. Thump clear. Schneider. Craig Bolton. Bevan. We're on the march now. Bevan goes long. Davis inside 50. Takes the mark. Bauer couldn't get back in time.
He learned from that, Dwayne. He spectated the ball, Bauer, and just for an instant, he allowed Nick Davis to get goal side. You can spectate the ball as long as you've got your direct opponent in your sights. It was a terrific kick from Bevan, but we just see Nick Davis running into space. Bauer had to be goal side. He'll learn from that, the young fella.
Yeah, spot on. He watched the ball and just for an instant thought that Davis is not going to be used, and that instant was the one that cost him in the end. This man doesn't miss from this sort of range.
Nick Davis, whose father Craig played in the celebrity game before this one. He played for both clubs, Craig Davis, Carlton and the Swans, as Nick misses only a behind.
He rarely misses from that position anyway. He's a very good kick for goal, 9 times out of 10.
They have just got their running game going though, Dwayne. You're absolutely spot on. The handball receives now. Sydney 36, Carlton 25. They're just starting to warm into it now, Sydney.
Thornton. Nick Davis didn't kick a goal last week either. Towards the wing, and Everett gets the fly, the sit and the mark. Joined the 300 club last week, Peter Everett. 300 games all up. Magnificent performance. It's been a grand career. Hasn't played in as many wins as he would have liked. Schneider, short. O'Keefe missed it. Spearing kick towards the wing, and Fisher takes the mark in front of Dempster.
That was good work from Wiggins. He was the one that Everett had taken the mark over, but pushed back into defence and cut it off.
Favola. Just high bombs it inside 50. Pack flies. Bentic had about 3 to beat. Schmidt stayed down. Jude Bolton. Here's the run from defence. Jude Bolton sends it long. Davis on the move. Got it. But he's had a sider.
It was beautiful movement, Wayne, but that Brendan Favola kick, it's all right going long, Lynchy, but you go long to the top of the square. Went long to about 45 metres out. We just allowed the Sydney midfielders and wingers to get back and crowd it, win the ball, turn over, run it through the corridor, lace out football to Davis.
That's the thing. Your 2 kicks from goal from that position just opened the whole ground up. Very dangerous. Got to stay wider when Favola was coming in there.
And as you mentioned, normally super accurate. 14 goals, 5 for the year. Wouldn't expect him to miss 2 in a row normally.
I fixed him.
So came into this game with 14 goals for. He's now got 14-6.
Gentlemen, Barry Hall's just come back on the ground. They've gone pretty small, Roosie. He's decided to change it up the last 5 minutes and really got going again, the Swans.
Simpson wide to Waite.
It's important for Carlton to make sure they shut down the Swans. They're very good at the stoppages on a regular basis. The Sydney Swans get big numbers around. They just can't leak goals after a good start.
Good tackle on Kennelly, wrapped up by Kennedy. And the umpire said that Ty Kennelly didn't have prior opportunity. Ball up.
Well, Nick Malcheski started well for Sydney now. He's had the 9 possessions, 4 handball received, just running into that stoppage there.
Everett in opposition to Kennedy. Everett, little tap to Kirk. Dump, didn't necessarily have it. Houlihan held up by Kennelly. Another ball up.
Spud, you touched on Carlton trying to spread out these sort of stoppages. Sydney like to get big numbers around. They'll push the bodies in against their opponents and usually get the clearances. The best chance for the Carlton are to get limited numbers around the ball and try to run out.
Correct way.
Everett with the back tap to Jude Bolton. Matthews caught by Walker. Kirk. Jude Bolton. Malcheski, good build-up. Hall's on the move. He's ignored. Too many options, and Schneider takes it instead.
Well, Malcheski's the one that Carlton need to put some heat into now.
Schneider to O'Loughlin, and takes the mark. He was half held. Would have got a free.
It was a great mark, but Nick Malcheski's had 10 possessions now, Lynchy, and 5 handball receives. The run through the middle of the ground. He is a much improved player, probably one of the most improved players in the competition.
And it's filled the void with Kennelly's been out. That run off half-back, he's been so good. It was interesting. I don't know whether we got a shot from behind the goals, but Mickey O'Loughlin didn't lead. He just signalled which side he wanted the ball kicked and just took a few steps into the ball and took a very handy mark, or was mark or free kick.
Sydney's all-time games record holder, Michael O'Loughlin, passed John Rantel last week, lines them up, and that was never going to touch the sides.
Great goal. We've just pumped up Malcheski, Lynchy, and where's he gone?
Modern footy again, Spud. Have a spell. So look here, O'Loughlin didn't have to run into the ball. His good position put onto the side that Mickey O'Loughlin had all the space, and it was mark all free kick and good conversion.
One thing about Michael O'Loughlin, he's not a big man, but he's strong. He uses his body really well, and he's strong through the legs. You look at his frame, it's not huge, but gee, he uses his body well.
First goal of the afternoon for Michael O'Loughlin. Dennis Pagan on screen with Tony Liberatore, one of his assistants, to his left. He's got a star cast of assistants: Liberatore, Ratton, Craig Bradley, Carlton's games record holder. Jude Bolton. Sydney Swans on the move now. Barry Hall can't half volley. Ablett. Everett from 30. 2 in 30 seconds.
That's the strength of Peter Everett. His ability to run and push forward when they've got the ball is absolute elite. You won't see any better effort from a ruckman than this here. You see Everett win the tap, the ball pushes forward. Just have a look at Everett here, just in the bottom of the screen. He just pushes hard, Ablett, and there's Everett. That is great running for a guy that's 6'8", Lynchy.
Yeah, the centre clearance is starting to go the Sydney Swans' way. Clearances in total 18 to 15 in favour of Carlton, but certainly the gap's closing.
First goal of the afternoon, 9th goal of the season for Peter Everett. And what a magnificent piece of work from Everett then. The ruck contest, straight down towards full forward. Some ruckmen would have still been in the centre circle watching on. No clearance, another ball up. 27 minutes gone, opening term.
Sydney will love these clearances. Just smother the game and then work. Take your opportunities when we get them.
And if we've got a wide angle, there's plenty of space outside that initial pack. It's very much congested, and outside there's a lot of space for the Swans players to run onto.
Carlton by goal. They're hanging on. Walker sends it long towards the square. Barry takes the mark. Brendan Favola led. The lead was ignored. Now Barry held his spot. Eddie Betts tries to spoil. McVeigh made it tough for him. Goods. Wobbly handball. Bannister. Inside 50, but it's play on. Young. Gives it back again to Walker. Snaps around the body. It's a high kick. Down there is O'Halpin. Betts tries to snaffle it. O'Halpin a toe poke. Dangerous area. Barry extracts it and runs away with it. They can rush it behind if they want to. They've got numbers back. Malcheski from McVeigh to Matthews.
That's been the difference to Sydney. They're running the ball out now. Carlton just need to maintain that intensity and pressure.
Barry Hall. They could level the scores for quarter time here. Short pass in the O'Keefe direction. Wiggins mops it up to Waite. Young. Held up on the wing. Gibbs. Good movement from the youngster. Played on. Sends it inside 50 towards Eddie Betts. One grab, two grabs, three. Did he control it? Umpire said yes.
That was a good effort.
Had a bit of grass on it at the
Good
end.
juggling, Lynchy, wasn't it?
I don't think the kick was ideal. It certainly was a bit of a floater and went long. But gee, see here in a one-on-one contest, which Eddie Betts wouldn't have done a lot through his AFL career, and he's taken a mark there.
Oh.
I think he's had enough of it.
Well, the key to it was Bevan also took his eyes off the ball.
At which stage did he control that?
Oh,
good
come
call.
on, Dwayne. It used to be 2 grabs, wasn't it? That was the rule.
Eddie Betts to make the quarter-time lead for the Blues. 2 goals. And that would be about right. He spears it through. Perfect opening term for the Blues. They've started games well this year. They haven't always finished them well. But Carlton away from home here at the Sydney Cricket Ground in perfect conditions with Brendan Favola back into the lineup. Lead the Swans at quarter time 5-3-33 to Sydney 3-3-21. Kennedy from 60, spears it, hoping for Favola. Fisher cuts it off, hands off to Houlihan from the stand, start to the goal square. O'Halpin's down there, gathers, snaps it, bowls it, a piece of brilliance. Against the odds, it's the Blues by 12 points at quarter time here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. At one stage in the opening term, they led by as much as 26 points, gentlemen. And it's been a good game to watch. Dennis Pagan working overtime.
Fantastic game of football. The contested possessions, 35-27. That's what Dennis Pagan will be driving home. Also, they've had a lot of the ball, Lynchy. 90 possessions. Sydney have won 6 out of their 7 by keeping sides under 290. So if Carlton keep going at this, they're going to be right in this game.
And the Swans coach Paul Roos went straight out to the huddle, brought all the players in before they broke up into their individual groups, and had a very pointed chat to the group, and I think was reinforcing what he was probably saying all week. Don't take these guys too lightly, they can play.
The Blues, of course, their season is over. They can't make the finals this year, but the Sydney Swans hoping to play their way back into the 8 and maybe back into contention for a top 4 spot come the end of the home and away season. It's a big afternoon for them as well. 12-point lead to the Blues, and on the boundary line in that beautiful sunshine, Lee Colbert.
G'day there, Dwayne. I can't get hold of Libero. Actually can't find him. He's too small, but he's in there. And Dennis Pagan, he's been pretty demonstrative actually at quarter time. Plenty to say to his boys, so I'll be happy to get going again in this second quarter and hopefully put some scoreboard pressure on the Swans.
Thanks, Leroy. I mentioned earlier that Nick Davis's father, Craig, played for both clubs. Well, Dennis Pagan played for both clubs as well. 123 games for South Melbourne, played for the Kangaroos, 123 games, and now coach of the Blues, of course. He's been one of the great coaches of all time, Dennis Pagan.
He's kept him for a while in that huddle as well, and just to reinforce how they started.
Just watch Gibbs at quarter time there. Lynchy was getting his ankle strapped. Notice he's only had the 1 possession, so not sure whether he's 100% fit, so look forward to seeing how he plays in the second half.
Once again, at the forward end for the Carlton Football Club, they've pushed their whole forward half right up to the 50-metre line and give a lot of space behind. Favola's up on the wing with Leo Barry. and expect the ball to go in long and for the Carlton forwards to turn their opponents and run hard to the top of the goal square and hopefully get a few easy goals run in from close in.
So Favola not starting at full forward for the opening of this second term, the same as the opening quarter. Up on the wing for this bounce to start the second term. Little toe poke off the deck. Simpson pushed out of it. O'Keefe to Jude Bolton. Just pops it inside 50. Barry Hall dives, can't complete it. Bannister shoots the handball out. Waite around the body, no one home. Craig Bolton back inside 50. Barry Hall getting back, crunched by Simpson. Grabbed by Fosdyke. Stabs around the body and gives Sydney the opener for the second.
Great start there from Sydney. Fosdyke, Barry Hall in two marking situations there. Not sure whether he's the right option. Malcheski was on his own. We see Hall drop the first one, but was quick enough to get up. The ball got out. We just see Hall and Malcheski there. Great sprawl from Simpson, but great recovery from Fosdyke. Magnificent opportunist goal there, Lynchy.
Yeah, it was poor choice of passing target. Fosdyke was the player last week in the third quarter that really ignited the Swans against the Fremantle Dockers.
28 possessions last week, Nick Fosdyke, and 13 possessions in the third term alone to get them back into the contest, Sydney. And a good start for the second term. It's back to a one-goal margin. Carlton led by as much as 26 in the opening term. From the ball up, Jolly in the ruck for Sydney after Everett started in the ruck in the opening term. Carazzo, handball out but in Jude Bolton's direction, caught a little high.
A bit of Russian roulette being played. Leo Barry will take possession of the ball now. Is starting back deep as the loose man defence and leaving Fev up on the wing by himself.
So with no one on him, he runs and kicks to Barry Hall. Too far out to score. Barry Hall knows it. Over the top to Malcheski. He runs inside 50. Chance to tie the scores. Misses.
Well, I'm not sure whether that's the right tactic, Lynchy, leaving Leo Barry on his own, Favola up the ground. I think Sydney would be happy with that because Favola's not going to score goals if he's up the ground, yet they'll be able to generate a lot of run through Leo Barry as we saw in that instance.
And we discussed it in the first quarter. One of the tactics of getting Favola up the ground was to drag Barry away from his very dominant spot, which we've seen over a number of years.
Walker. Long inside 50, getting back. Leo Barry again. So with Brendan Favola up, Leo Barry almost loose between fullback and halfback. Jolly.
Well, it worked in the first quarter because Sydney were caught unawares, Lynchy, but now Paul Roos has obviously said to Leo Barry, stay back, defend the goals. If they're going to kick it long, they'll be kicking it long to an outnumbered situation.
Everett towards Barry Hall. White front position.
Free kick against Barry Hall. Never gets a great run with the umpires, but that was probably a free kick.
Well, Jeff Geeshan, the umpire's boss, will just about have to build on a room with all the tapes that Sydney have sent him over the years, trying to build a case for Barry Hall to get better treatment from the umpires. Kick toward the wing. Richards thumped it down, but to Fisher. Inside 50 towards Favola. Leo Barry down there. Favola could get on the end of a Kennedy handball.
No.
Kennedy has a shot instead.
Well, what Kennedy had to do then is run towards Leo Barry, draw the player, and would have been a simple handball over the top. Just wasn't composed, and lack of experience there, really. Should have done better.
I've invested a lot in Josh Kennedy, picked 4 in the draft back in 2005. That was the Murphy and Dale Thomas draft. Craig Bolton sends it wide. Bevan just backward of the wing. 34 plays 28. Craig Bolton straight down the corridor. Spears the pass, hoping for O'Keefe. Made it tough for him. Got a toe on it. Fosdyke. Boundary line looming. O'Keefe caught high. Gets the free.
Well, that's better. Paul Roos at quarter time, Lynchy obviously said we need to win the contested ball. That's great science from Ryan O'Keefe. You just see there, low and hard.
Runs away from Wiggins and hits Jolly, who held it long enough.
He's dropped that, I thought. I'd like to see the replay, but I thought it just spilled out. The umpire was probably blocked.
I think Hayden Kennedy looked to the boundary umpire to get a signal as to whether that was held or not.
Thought it just bounced off the chest, but he's got a shot on goal. And can, from this sort of range, he can be reasonably accurate for a big man.
Well, this is a big kick to tie the scores. 28 plays 34 after the Blues led by as much as 26. That won't tie the scores. It's across the face. Flyers go up. O'Loughlin tries to steal. Simpson rushes her behind.
Bit of a scuffle in the goal square there.
Sydney Swans just controlling the tempo of the game after that initial 15 minutes where Carlton really dominated the run and possession. Sydney, as they do so well, they just strangled the life out of the opposition to control the tempo and get the ball in their hands.
Short to Carazzo, Lee Colbert.
Adam Hartlett did come off in the first quarter, as you boys reported, with a left hamstring. Won't come back on, and very disappointed. Carlton down to 3 on the bench.
Is that the same hamstring, Lee?
I'm not too sure, Dwayne, because he actually did have some strapping on his right, so I will find that out for you.
Of course, Adam Hartlett might not be the only Hartlett playing AFL footy soon. His brother Hamish represented Australia at under-16 level against South Africa, so the family can play, as can the Davis family. And Davis sends it home. The Swans in front.
Well, he's kicked the goal, and guess what, Lynchy? He's coming up the ground. The rotation value again, we see Nick Davis there. Opportunist goal, had 2 shots on goal in the first quarter, but bad positioning. Bad positioning from young Bauer there again on Nick Davis. Allowed Nick Davis to get goal side. When that stoppage is 60 metres out from goal, you have to stand between your direct opponent and the goals and force him to kick the ball over your fingernails. He'll learn from that young Bauer.
After a couple of misses in the opening term, Nick Davis finally slots one, and the Swans hit the lead for the first time today. 35 plays 34. From the ruck contest, Everett. Goods between his legs and good enough to get it again. Murphy just wobbles it wide. Race on. Young got there first, looped the handball to Scotland. Carazzo having an outstanding year. Favola, a little push from Leo Barry. He tried to accentuate it, and the umpire would have none of it.
They'll be pulling their hair out in the Carlton box at the moment. So often we see Carlton start well, only to let the opposition run over the top of them.
O'Keefe, short towards Barry Hall, on the chest. Did Brendan Favola deserve a free kick then, or did he play for it?
Well,
They've played worse this year, Dwayne.
Yeah, but whether he's got the free kick or not, he's talking to the umpire now. He just wants to set himself to be really imposing, make a big, strong contest. He went to ground pretty easy. As far as the rule is concerned, it probably was a free kick with the hands in the back.
It was there.
You got to hold your ground and try to make a good contest.
Barry Hall lines it up from the paint of the 50. You can hear the oohs and ahs from the crowd. That's across the face, only a behind. 2-point lead to the Swans. Barry Hall, 3 goals won last week. He's been a little inaccurate this year.
Carlton have been getting a good rub from the green of the umpires at the moment, though. 9-3 free kicks Carlton's favour.
And a lot of talk as to whether Barry Hall's injuries have just forced him to not be able to kick through the ball at goal this year. Certainly his accuracy rate is down. Kick towards the wing. Kennedy. Arm half slapped. Umpire said it was all right. O'Keefe. Matthews. Jude Bolton. Loops it over the top to McVeigh. Long ball from his boot. Getting and making the ground is Schneider.
All one out.
Just inside the boundary line. Plays on. Jolly. Not the third grab. Did control it according to the umpire.
Well, did he control the ball? Probably second bite was the best one out at Lynchy. Not sure about the first or the third. So
probably similar to the Eddie Betts one. As far as taking control of the ball, he hasn't done that, but he's had a few decent pieces of it. And the umpire, they're in the mood at the moment to pay. If you've had 3 or 4 grabs, we'll pay the mark.
great learning curve for O'Halpin there also. The first fumble, he just assumed he was going to mark it. If he had followed through with a body spoil, that ball would have spilt. So he'll learn from that, O'Halpin.
Been fairly accurate this year as well, Darren Jolly. He's kicked 10 goals, 4 for the year. Make that 11-4. The Swans on the move.
And it's an 8-point difference, but the Carlton Footy Club are in real strife at the moment. Possible free kick to Favola at the other end. Now they've conceded 7 points in the next 2 minutes after that decision wasn't paid. And you're spot on, Spud, as all good full backs should know, don't anticipate that the player is going to take the mark, and make sure you're there in the contest.
Don't assume. Glenn Archer's probably the best I've seen at the body spoil. He will really make you earn that free kick, Lynchy.
In your day, you used to hit the head as well.
Accidentally.
Darren Jolly is giving the head a rub. Got one to the ear on the third attempt. 42 plays 34. The Swans finally in control of this game. From the ball up, free kick. Hayden Kennedy on the spot.
And when the
and it might be 50. It was a Swans free. Scotland played on and kicked it.
The umpire's feeling a little bit generous. Certainly the rub of the green was going well and truly Carlton's way early, but has swung around to the Sydney Swans. It's just as far as the bounce of the ball has gone.
Kirk, Malcheski, Matthews, Malcheski, McVeigh.
The big difference in the first quarter, the second quarter, Lynchy, is the leg rope on your direct opponent. Carlton were terrific in the first 20 minutes of this game. The start of this second quarter, the amount of space between themselves and their direct opponent is just about a cricket pitch.
And that's probably what they missed. They've got the talented kids, but they need the hardened professionals like Kirk and Jude Bolton just to hold it all together.
Jared McVeigh started on the bench this afternoon. First deliberate shot at goal. Likes it off the boot. The Blues on the ropes.
Lynchy, that's a good point you make about the leadership of Sydney and how they're able just to turn it around with Goods, Kirk, Ablett. You talked about that. That's the next phase for the Carlton Football Club. It's pretty hard asked to ask Kurtafidis, who's in the twilight of his career. When you look at their midfield, Gibbs, Murphy, hard to expect those guys. They need some young, tough players that can win the contest in any situation. Don't worry about scoreboard pressure.
First goal for Jared McVeigh. He's at Sydney after being picked 5 back in 2002, the year that Carlton had their first 2 picks taken away due to salary cap breaches. The Swans might not have got him if they had pick 7, which they thought they were going to have in that draft. And luckily that was reduced to pick 5. Matthews got the handball out. O'Keefe manhandled. Kirk through traffic. Matthews, Adam Goods, Simpson attacks it, collects it. He's caught. Good tackle.
Oh, no.
Trouble.
I disagree with that. Simpson was the one who went in low and hard to get the ball. He attacked the ball and he was sat on by the Swans players. And it's not easy to knock the ball out now. He grabs the ball and drags it in. Now, that's what the umpires tell you, and they reinforce that all the time. You can't drag the ball in, but he was the player who was initiating the play and wanted to get the ball.
Correct weight, Lynchy. He played on instinct there. He's been doing that since he was 5 years of age.
Can't take that.
Had to be a ball up, yep.
Jared McVeigh for his second in 60 seconds. And maybe the footy gods are here with you, Alistair. Only a behind.
Well, Carlton players have got to, I mean, it's great to run and carry the ball, but they've got to find an opponent and use him as a starting point, and just don't let the Sydney Swans get the easy possessions that they've been able to get in the early part of this quarter. Must shut them down and get the tempo of the game back in their favour.
Just a reminder, if we're on Favola watch, no touches the last 19 minutes. Walker, he might get one here. Kick towards half forward, Young. And he takes it across the boundary line. Ross Young, who's not necessarily young, turns 24 later this year, playing just game number 6.
It's young compared to us right
That's
here.
true. But not compared to players in their first or second year. A mature recruit. And we'll get another ball up. Kurtafidi, speaking of not young, doing the tackling.
This is where Sydney are right on top this quarter. The clearances, 5-1, Sydney's favour.
From the ball up, Everett. Carazzo, handball out, runner got in the way. Murphy, handballs it back. Carazzo, caught, dump, ball.
Did he have prior opportunity?
No, it was even probably punishing the guy that handballed the ball. It was a poor decision.
Well, once he fumbled at young Murphy, he had to know that his direct teammate was under the pump. and we just see there the handball too. Wasn't a lot of prior opportunity there.
Schneider to Barry Hall, got an arm slapped, and the umpire allowed that one. Waite. Carazzo with the half volley. Just pops the pass toward Lappin, who we haven't seen a lot of.
Started on the bench.
Just returned to the field about 2 minutes ago, and we're playing across half forward, just looking for a bit of a spark out of the experienced player.
It's his first possession. Finds Bentic. Calder Cannon's premiership captain in the under-18s. Adam Bentic inside 50. Favola couldn't get a jump at it. Crowd calling for ball again, and they get it again.
They're red hot on that one.
Well, they know their footy here, the crowd.
They're consistent anyway.
Yeah, well, that's all you ask, and players pick it up pretty quick.
Yeah, they should react to it now.
And yeah, there's no excuse now. But Carlton, it's an understatement to say they need this one. They have certainly been pushed out of the corridor, and even this shot is from well outside the corridor. Certainly the Sydney Swans have controlled that facet of the game.
We've played 16 goalless minutes in this term as far as the Blues are concerned, and Brad Fisher slots it.
Much needed goal from the Carlton Football Club. The key was they were able to put some pressure on in their forward 50. The last 20 minutes we see Leo Barry go up, fumble the mark. Yes, and at least they're consistent. Happened up the other end, so the players now need to react to that. They know if any instance or doubt, need to hit the ball out. You're going to drag it in and win the ball at ground level, you're going to get pinged there today. So players need to be aware of that.
First goal of the afternoon for Brad Fisher, a very good late pick for the Blues back in 2002. Picked 72 that year. Blues had the 3 picks, the last 3 picks. They took Fisher, Carl Norman and Mick Martin. And this is game number 64 for Brad Fisher. From the ball up, Goods tie up with Bannister.
He's a good type, Brad Fisher. He marks the ball like a key position player, yet he's a half-forward flanker.
He's had that fractured cheekbone earlier this year. It's good to see that he's back and playing some good football again. Halpin, a drop kick with his arm held. Jude Bolton to Schneider. Shrugs 2 tackles. Kicks in the McVeigh direction. He's hot at the moment. Ball bounces unkindly for him. Walker. Boundary line looming. Doesn't want it. Should have taken it. McVeigh. Play on, not 15, back towards Walker. And we'll get a ball in. Lee Colbert.
McVeigh's worked it out for the Sydney Swans boys. He's the only one to actually have a shot on goal and miss and stay on the ground. So I think he's well and truly worked it out.
Well, the rotation has been working for Sydney. What a palm down from Jolly. Got it to Davis. Couldn't get the kick away correctly. Scotland to Bentic. Fisher all the way down to half-back. Takes the mark.
I think Carlton would pick up on that. The last 2 stoppages in that part of the ground, Jolly has dropped the ball down to his left, down to Davis. So surely you've got to be goal side of him and stop that run.
Ty Canini with the big fist. Schneider, McVeigh. Sold the dummy to Young. Centering kick to Kirk. Body commitment on the line, as you would expect for Kirk. And he goes as a reward.
Great play, great mark, and just body lighting the ball. And Bryce Gibbs will learn from that, Lynchy, because Brett Kirk only had one option there. He was going to body line the ball there, and we see young Gibbs. Look, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He's a youngster, and that's the level he has to get to.
And the good thing is, like, Kirk has built a reputation that there was no way he was going to jump off the line, and young Gibbs knew that, and it was going to be a big body clash if he took it on. But great mark, great goal.
He's a star, Brett Kirk. He's undersold. He was a tagger for a couple of years, but 2 years ago was equal 4th in the Brownlow behind Judd Prosciutto and Chad Corns.
His intent there was absolutely sensational in that marking situation.
And he's as good to watch.
That's where
He's
Carlton,
probably the top 10 or 12 superstars in the competition.
You're right. That's where Carlton need to recruit those types.
Wouldn't they love a guy like that to go in and complement the young talent, the ball carrying ability, have a Kirk to go in there and just really stiffen it up.
And of course, he wasn't wanted when he first came to the club. He was sent back to North Albury. Went back for a year and got a second chance. And here he is on hands and knees on cue. Kirk with the handball, doesn't find the target. Walker, Betts, O'Loughlin. to his own advantage. Finally. Richards. O'Keefe. Controlling it but messing with it.
Numbers again forward.
Kick not good. Cut off by Lappin. Possession number 2 for him for the day. Bentic. Thornton. O'Loughlin. Leo Barry gets around for Vola. O'Loughlin gets around Lappin. Now Craig Bolton spears the pass to Schmidt and they're away. Schmidt to Bevan. Couple of options inside 50 if he wants them. Sends it long in the Davis direction. High kick, front spot, Bauer. Played on.
He's played on.
Into trouble. Gone. Holding the ball.
Just haven't thought their way through this quarter. The Carlton Footy Club. There's been a few execution problems, but this is a decision-making problem. Didn't have the composure to go back, slow down, and then look for a runner behind to give the handball to.
It's just the awareness factor, Lynchy, because he had to know that Davis was in the vicinity. He took a very good mark. He backed himself in, but just have some awareness, take a deep breath, then assess.
And you just don't give Nick Davis shots at goals inside 50 that easily, because he rarely misses. And he doesn't miss this time. He's got 2-2 for the afternoon.
Floodgates are starting to open possession-wise after being down in that first 15 minutes of the first quarter. Sydney are taking control, 148 to 127. Once again, just a poor decision. He knew perfectly well where his opponent was, just had to settle down. And even players around him got to tell him to slow down, go back, take your time. It's late in the second quarter. We just need to control things a little bit better. That's an important goal for Davis once again.
Second goal for Nick Davis. Just allowed Paul Bauer to play on, hoping he'd play on into trouble, and he got his wish. Hagan and Kernahan's sitting behind him. Just lurking behind him at the moment, Stephen Kernahan. Making some assessments, perhaps, the director of football. For Vola. Speaking of making assessments, high kick towards full forward from Brendan Favola. The Carlton faithful will be assessing Fev. Will he be here next year?
He's had a quiet second quarter, and I think everyone from Carlton, certainly in the coach's box, will be just wanting a few big contests, a few chase and tackles, and a bit of forward pressure for Fev to finish off this half. Not so much the high marks, but just the effort.
When I say here, I mean here when Carlton come and play. Whether he'll be playing for another club, you doubt he'll be playing for Sydney next year. Jolly got the kick away, Jude Bolton to Goods. Past Fisher. Richards. Ablett. McVeigh's got 2 to beat inside 50. Bouncing ball. Wiggins. Little 1-2 works very well. Simpson. Short. Young. Wide.
Terrible.
And terrible.
The skills are starting to let them down now.
In his defence, Everett did come straight off the bench.
Schneider. No one to go to, so doesn't turn it over to Ablett. McVeigh. Ablett. It's a possession fest at the moment. Long towards Barry Hall. Flies. Can't bring it down. And the boundary line too fast for Adam Goods. Ball in. 61. Plays 40. There's this turnover from Young.
Just Everett just went straight off the bench.
Coming out the fifth row there.
We'll give him the benefit of the doubt there.
A set play from Paul Roos, is it? He's clever by the minute. Everett dragged down by Koutafidis.
Goods and Matthews are just cannoned into each other, and Goods come off a little bit worse for wear. He's up now and just hobbling around. But hit outs, and certainly in this situation, big advantage to Sydney Swans, 25 to Carlton 6.
Everett again. Palm down. Koutafidis. Scotland. Caught by Fosdyke.
Now, you would hope now that Carlton would obviously know there's a big advantage to the Swans as far as the ruck contest go. You need a third-up jumper. You need someone to help their ruckman out. Everett's just dominating the taps here. So watch for someone like Walker to get up, although he's just out of the pack now. But you need a jumper to help out.
From the ball up.
Oh, gee, Bauer's got to get goal side of Davis. Very lucky there.
Koutafidis slung, just got the kick away. Davis again. You spoke about it.
Oh.
And Davis is giving that goal umpire whiplash. He's got 3 for the quarter.
Well, I think Dennis Pagan will be absolutely devastated. Now, that is 3 out of the last 5 stoppages in the forward 50 that either Jolly or Everett has dropped the ball down to their left to find someone like Davis, and that is too easy, and there is no touch and feel, as they talk about in the defensive half, from the opponent of Davis.
A simple instruction for Bauer on Davis, Lynchy, is finger in the back. Finger in the back, you know where he is, then you can spectate the ball.
27-point lead to Sydney. That's the biggest lead of the game so far. Carlton led by 26 points halfway through the opening term. And Nick Davis has 3 goals, all in this quarter. The Blues in trouble. The Sydney Swans on the march again. Inside the top 8 perhaps tonight. Goods gets it from Fosdyke. Takes on 3. Sends it long. McVeigh having a good quarter. Outreach this time. Nice mark to Wiggins. Wobbler. Made it tough for Scotland.
McVeigh's had the 7 touches so far in this quarter for the Swans. Been very good.
Murphy told to play on. Lee Colbert.
Fairfax just coming back on the ground. Had a little bit of a spell for a minute or 2 and back into the action.
Didn't take his boots off while on the bench, Lee?
No, mate, he didn't. He's got those beautiful white ones on.
Had the yellow ones on up here last year. Looked spectacular, but Carlton were beaten by 92 points here last year. Scotland across the defensive goal. Halpin held it long enough.
Houlihan's now gone under Nick Davis, who's got the ball now, Dwayne.
So Houlihan wide. Fisher. Held up by Ty Kennelly.
Inside 50s, 14-5 in favour of the Swans.
Murphy.
It's just been their positioning, Lynchy, the Carlton boys. They were terrific the first 20 minutes. Their intensity levels, they were first to the ball, had a great starting point, and then they just started playing up the Sydney players, which allowed them into the game.
Well, just possession 5 for Mark Murphy. Found Fisher inside 50. Favola had 3 to beat. Bentic legged. And it'll come back.
He's got the free kick.
Adam Bentic tucked into the pocket. They're not deep pockets here at the SCG. Centering kick, hoping for Favola. Everett had the reach on him. Halpin, clever palm down to Wiggins. Caught, good tackle by Matthews. Out to Murphy. Possession 6 for him. Scotland, spoiled by Kirk. Dempster didn't collect it. Scotland did, but gave it to McVeigh. Hands to Kirk. Centering ball. Walker forced to get a palm on it. Murphy. Favola over the top. Wiggins. Scotland. Boundary line gives them all a breather. 28 minutes gone, second term. 2.5 to go to half time, and it's 67-40. Blues in trouble. They'll be happy to see the half-time break come quickly to reset. Thornton in the back gets the free.
So you need this, need a shot on goal. That'll be brought back. Didn't need actually that slight hold up for 10 seconds. Just allows the Swans to get back in big numbers. They've got every player in the defensive half to crowd it up for Carlton.
So Thornton just bangs it along, hoping for Favola. And a miracle, Brad Fisher takes the mark.
He's a great grab. And as you said, he's had to play. He's probably an undersized centre-half forward. And when Carlton develop, he's going to be a very good third tall forward who can do this sort of stuff, jump over a pack and take a very good mark.
He does. He floats in from the side and he leaps early. Ty Kennelly just assumed he was going to stay down. He tried to go up, but it was too late.
He's already got one. Very important kick. Never in doubt. The Blues with some momentum perhaps to half-time.
Well, hang in there. It's just those positioning things, Lynchy, those little things that we see Fisher here just sliding in from the side of the pack. That was a magnificent mark, but equally a good goal. Dennis just needs to address around the stoppages, make sure your goal side is direct opponent, a bit of touch and feel, keep winning the ball. They're hanging in there.
Yeah, a bit of accountability and try to spread those clearances, which worked so well for him in the first quarter. Just got to try to open them up again.
2 goals to Brad Fisher, 67-46. Now within touch. It's been a big quarter for the Sydney Swans. They've kicked 7 goals in this term. And it's not over yet. From the ball up, no one going anywhere. And holding the ball.
They're really hot on that. There's been a directive during the week, you would have thought.
Did Bentic take them on then?
It didn't get far.
Jude Bolton.
Fosdyke's on.
And can run. And he can load up to the square. Barry Hall leading back to the goal square. He's about to fly. Goods! Over the top, Adam Goods.
What a magnificent mark from Goods. And again, just positioning. Jordan Bannister, look, he's going okay on Adam Goods, but we just see here, Goods being able to get goal side of his direct opponent in Bannister that's spectating the ball. That was some mark. But it's just those little things. The positioning of your direct opponent, goal side again. That's the thing that's letting Carlton down in this game of football in this second quarter.
He's re-signed again with the club, Adam Goods. He'll be a Sydney Swan until at least 30 years of age. He's signed until 2010. And in game 201, he slots it in the shadows of half-time.
Well, that hurts, Lynchy, doesn't it? Because the last 3 goals have been Carlton's opportunity to stand in the right position. Look, it was a fantastic mark from Goods, but just your ability to defend in the right spot.
It is a good mark, but you've got 3 players of some height and note to get up there and put at least a little body on it, hit the arms or hit the ball, but you just can't concede a mark like that. He is a class act. There's not too many going around like him, but at the same time, you've got to put some body in that contest in the air.
Still only 27 years of age, Adam Goods. Looks bound for 300. From the ball up. Beautiful palm down. Everett, Jude Bolton in the Barry Hall direction. White with him. Hall takes him on. Dribbles a handball out as the last option. Carazzo caught, brought down, dropped it. And Walker sees it across with 18 seconds left on the clock to half-time.
The hit-outs are starting to really hurt Carlton. 30-7 in favour of the Swans, and that's going hand-in-hand with the clearances, 22-12. There's Davis again.
Seconds ticking away, Schneider. Back with the flight, Gibbs. Thornton. They need a mark from this. Favola takes the mark. 3 seconds left. No one's in the goal square.
You can get the journey here. This is very interesting. He's a beautiful kick of the ball. He's 60 metres out.
Will he go the torpedo, Lynchy?
Well, he's one of the few players in the competition that can kick a drop punt this far. So, I mean, if it was probably me or you, we'd be trying to tee everything up with a torp. But he can kick a drop punt 60 metres, and he'll give it a ride here.
Well, this is his kind of stage. Everybody in the stadium watching to produce a miracle. To the boos, even better. And he loads up with a long drop punt, but it doesn't get there. Everett marks it on the line.
Didn't quite get it. A little bit high up on the foot. Didn't flush it.
Still went 65.
Still had us covered.
I need a rocket launcher to kick it that far, Lynchy.
Peter Everett with a smile on his face. He's having a good time of it in the ruck. The Sydney Swans, who were down by 26 points halfway through the opening term. At half-time here, they've fought their way back to a big margin. 11-7-73 to Carlton, 7-4-46.